Once upon a time, there was a king named Chukwudi, whose wisdom was as vast as the lands he ruled over. Despite his wealth and the grandeur of his palace in the heart of Lagos, King Chukwudi was troubled by the insincerity that surrounded him. He longed for a companion whose value lay not in her wealth or status, but in her intellect and wisdom. On the same land, on a modest farm, lived a farmer's daughter named Adaobi. Unlike the other maidens of the land, Adaobi's beauty was not her most defining feature. It was her sharp mind, her insatiable curiosity, and her compassionate heart that set her apart. She spent her days assisting her father in the fields, reading books by the glow of a lantern, and solving problems that puzzled even the wisest men in the village. The story begins on a crisp morning when King Chukwudi, disguised as a common traveler to escape the confines of his royal life, stumbled upon Adaobi's farm. Seeking shelter and intrigued by the sight of a young woman deeply engrossed in a book under the shade of an ancient Iroko tree, he approached. "Good morning, fair maiden," greeted King Chukwudi, his voice gentle, yet carrying the authority of someone used to being heard. Adaobi looked up, her eyes reflecting a mix of surprise and curiosity. "Good morning, sir. How may I assist you?" "I seek shelter and a moment's rest. I am a traveler, weary from my journey," Chukwudi replied, his gaze fixed on the book in Adaobi's hands. "You are welcome to rest under the Iroko's shade, and if it's knowledge you seek, perhaps I can offer some in exchange for tales of your travels," Adaobi said, her voice tinged with a challenge. Intrigued by her proposition, Chukwudi accepted. As the hours passed, the king, still under his guise, and Adaobi engaged in discussions that ranged from the principles of governance to the mysteries of the natural world. Chukwudi found himself captivated by Adaobi's intellect and the depth of her understanding. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Chukwudi knew he had to return to his palace, but something within him had shifted. The encounter with Adaobi had revealed the emptiness of his existence among the palace's extravagance and hollow flattery. Days turned into weeks, and King Chukwudi couldn't shake off the memory of the farmer's daughter. He realized that it was not just her intellect that had captivated him, but her genuine nature and the ease with which she saw through life's pretenses. Determined to see her again, Chukwudi invited scholars from across the land for a grand feast in Abuja, proclaiming that the one who could answer his most challenging questions would be granted a special place in the court. Knowing Adaobi's love for knowledge, he trusted this would draw her to the palace. Adaobi, hearing of the king's challenge, felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. Encouraged by her father, who had always believed in her extraordinary mind, she decided to attend, unaware that the king himself had orchestrated the event with her in mind. Upon her arrival, Adaobi was met with sneers and skepticism from the courtiers, who saw her as nothing more than a farmer's daughter out of her depth. Undeterred, she stood before King Chukwudi, who recognized her immediately, though he kept his realization concealed beneath a guise of royal impartiality. The questions posed by the king were indeed formidable, ranging from the intricacies of governance to philosophical quandaries. One by one, the scholars presented their answers, some with confidence, others with hesitancy. When it was Adaobi's turn, the room fell into a hushed anticipation. With clarity and insight, Adaobi addressed each question, her responses not only correct, but imbued with a depth of understanding that resonated with the king's views. The courtiers watched in stunned silence, their earlier disdain replaced by begrudging respect. As the feast concluded, King Chukwudi declared Adaobi the victor. inviting her to share her thoughts on the role of wisdom and compassion in leadership. Her speech, humble yet powerful, moved many who heard it, including the king, who was now certain that she was the companion he had longed for. In the days that followed, Chukwudi sought to know Adaobi beyond the confines of intellectual discourse. He visited her at the farm, revealing his true identity and expressing his admiration for her character and intellect. Adaobi, though shocked, felt a connection to the king, one that transcended their vastly different worlds. King Chukwudi proposed to Adaobi not with promises of wealth or titles, but with the vow to honor and cherish her wisdom and to rule their kingdom with compassion and justice by her side. Adaobi accepted, not as a farmer's daughter ascending to royalty, but as a woman whose value was seen and appreciated for her true self. After Adaobi agreed to marry King Chukwudi, she found herself in the grand surroundings of the royal palace in Lagos. While Chukwudi greeted her with warmth and kindness, the palace's luxury made Adaobi miss her simple farm life even more. She longed for the familiarity of her home, feeling out of place amidst the palace's opulence. The initial days were tough for Adaobi. Despite the beauty surrounding her, she couldn't shake off the feeling of loneliness. The absence of open fields and the night sky full of stars made her heart heavy. One night, feeling suffocated by the grandeur of a palace banquet, Adaobi sought refuge in the palace gardens. There, under the vast sky, she found a moment of peace. Unbeknownst to her, Chukwudi watched from a distance, understanding the depth of her sacrifice. Eager to make a meaningful contribution to the kingdom, Adaobi immersed herself in learning about governance from Chukwudi. However, she faced her first major challenge when she suggested using the royal granary reserves to help a famine-stricken province. Her well-intentioned plan risked depleting the resources too quickly. Chukwudi, in his gentle manner, explained the flaw in her proposal, and together they crafted a more sustainable approach. This episode revealed Adaobi's readiness to learn and adapt. Adaobi's rise was not without opposition. Her humble origins and progressive ideas were met with skepticism and resistance from the palace's traditionalists, setting the stage for a tense atmosphere within the royal court. A faction of nobles, led by the calculating Duke of Ibadan, saw Adaobi as a threat to their power. They plotted to embarrass her by sabotaging a diplomatic event she was organizing. Thanks to a tip-off from a loyal servant, Adaobi managed to avoid the disaster by swapping the tainted wine, earning her the respect of some who had doubted her abilities. Adaobi pushed for reforms to better the lives of the peasantry, advocating for fairer taxation and agricultural innovation. Her proposals, especially regarding land redistribution, faced stiff opposition from the court's conservatives. In a crucial council meeting, Adaobi used her personal experience and knowledge to argue for the benefits of her reforms, winning over the king and several council members with her passion and eloquence. Lady Ngozi, aiming to undermine Adaobi, resorted to social snubs and spreading rumors. Yet Adaobi handled these challenges with grace and confidence, eventually offering Ngozi a chance to contribute to the kingdom's charitable projects. This act of kindness surprised many and helped neutralize Ngozi's antagonism. Adaobi proposed introducing sustainable farming techniques she learned from her father. Despite initial criticism from the Duke of Ibadan, she initiated a demonstration project on royal lands. The project's success, yielding higher crop production and improved soil health, impressed the Duke, turning him into an unlikely supporter of Adaobi's initiatives. Through these experiences, Adaobi's journey from a farmer's daughter to a respected figure in the palace underscored her resilience, intelligence, and compassion. Her story illustrates the importance of embracing change, the value of kindness, and the impact of perseverance, making her an integral part of the kingdom's legacy. As Adaobi and King Chukwudi continued to rule, their efforts gradually transformed the kingdom. They implemented educational programs that emphasized critical thinking and moral philosophy, ensuring that the future leaders of their land would value wisdom and compassion above all else. The kingdom flourished under their guidance, becoming a beacon of progress and enlightenment in the region. Their love story, rooted in mutual respect and admiration for each other's intellect and character, became legendary. It reminded everyone that true connections are formed not through superficial attributes, but through the shared values and understanding between people. And thus, in a land where tradition and modernity converged, a king and a farmer's daughter redefined the essence of leadership and love. Their legacy, woven into the fabric of the kingdom's history, taught generations that the truest form of wealth is found in the knowledge we acquire and the kindness we extend to others. Their reign, marked by justice, innovation, and compassion, left an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of their people, proving that when guided by wisdom and a genuine concern for the well-being of all, a kingdom can reach heights never before imagined. The end.